Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo lost the New York City mayoral election last week, as we all know, to Zohran Mamdani. But between 2020 and 2023, the taxpayers spent $5.68 million and an attorney to defend Andrew Cuomo against his sexual harassment accusations. That attorney was Rita Glavin, the woman in this photo from election night last week. That is a great photo. So the New York Times photographer Mark Peterson took several photographs of Cuomo kissing and grabbing the head of his lawyer, Rita Glavin, last week during his election night party. Because he can't help himself. So, according to the New York Times correspondent Ben Orix, Glavin said she was congratulating Cuomo on a hard fought campaign as they were being jostled in a packed crowd full of well wishers on election night at the time of the kiss. So Glavin served as Cuomo's main attorney as he fought multiple accusations of sexual harassment, including groping and non consensual kissing between 2020 and 2023. And according to New York Focus, Glavin, who received $5.68 million of taxpayers' money to defend Cuomo, sought to poke holes in the report and the account of Cuomo's accusers, at times successfully. Glavin also sought to access the gynecological records of one of Cuomo's accusers. So during the mayoral campaign, Mayor-elect Mamdani reminded us of the accusations against Cuomo while debating him, saying this: Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, 13 different women who worked in your administration credibly accused you of sexual harassment. Since then, you have spent more than $20 million in taxpayer funds to defend yourself, all while describing these allegations as entirely political. You have even gone so far as to legally go after one of these women. One of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is here in the audience this evening. And amid the allegations, Cuomo has resigned as governor in 2021. None of that, however, prevented him from running in the Democratic primary for the New York mayoral seat. And then when he lost that, none of that prevented him from still running for mayor as an independent, even though at that point, much of his platform was entirely right wing. But that's not what this story is about. This story is about how Andrew Cuomo is a man who doesn't learn from his past mistakes, who can barely admit to his past mistakes, and who can't help himself when it comes to not kissing women who probably don't want to be kissed by him. And the thing is, Glavin is not a woman that we need to be celebrating, especially not in this kind of story. She has gone against women. She has tried to paint women as being liars and, these people who have credibly accused Andrew Cuomo. She has tried to discredit them. She has tried to access their gynecological records, which is, a violation of all kinds of what is it? The word's not finding me. But you're not allowed to have people's medical records, right? But that's the thing, and that's the thing that kept coming up with Andrew Cuomo while he was on the campaign trail, that he was trying to access the medical records of the women who have accused him of sexually harassing them. And this is the woman who's behind all of that. All of that said, these things shouldn't happen to her either. She might be a terrible person, but nobody should be sexually harassed or, kissed unwantingly by somebody like Andrew Cuomo. So, Waz, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we all know he's not like being overly handsy or harassing people. He's just Italian. That was actually the excuse that he first offered up, that like, his culture is a touchy-feely one, and that he wasn't harassing these women. It's just how he was raised to be as an Italian person, which I just thought was an amazing a way to try to dodge this stuff. And in terms of his attorney, I don't know. This is just girl bosses doing what girl bosses do. I'm kind of happy the culture has moved on from that mode of looking at things and at people. It's like this woman is working on behalf of a very powerful person. She's gonna do some pretty despicable things to that end. This is what she's getting paid to do. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You have to, if your job is to defend the actions of Andrew Cuomo, you got to get pretty low and down in the dirt. And so I'm not surprised that she took it in that direction. And, again, I'm not surprised that Andrew Cuomo hasn't changed in his ways. I think it took a bit of hubris, man, on behalf of him, not just him, but his backers. The powerful billionaire donors that were backing his campaign. The hubris to just think that this guy was still fit for public life, even after all of the revelations, even after the resignation and disgrace. It just shows how out of touch all of these people are. All of these people who run our society, they just have no clue what the common person thinks or is going through. And the idea that you could shoehorn Andrew Cuomo and his awful campaign down the throat of New York City residents, and they were just gonna be happy to take it. I don't know. It just speaks to a certain level of cluelessness from Cuomo and the people of his ilk.
Yeah, but it has to be willful cluelessness at this point. And another way of saying willful cluelessness is that they don't care about the will of the American people. They
Yeah.
don't care about the things that are important to the people who they're begging for the opportunity to lead, right? They're the ones who want to be in positions of power. They're the ones who want to represent the American people, but they can't even be bothered to inquire as to what the American people want. And the problem is that the American people keep electing people like that. So, we're giving them the power willingly.